What's the most stressful thing about buying a house? It's the information overload, right? So today we're going to break through the chaos with my 4 simple phases. That's going to be to prepare, search, contract, and close. So get ready to take some notes. We're going to be tackling the complex and making it simple. Starting out with the first phase, let's talk about preparation, right? So the things we're going to do during that, first and foremost, is we're going to think, right? I want you to kind of get your mind right. I want you to kind of figure out what your situation is, right? What is what's going to be happening in your near future? Are you really ready to buy a house? It's okay if that answer for right now is no, and it's okay that it's yes. But a couple of things to consider with that is, how long are you going to be in that area that you're looking to buy? If it's less than a year, then maybe it's not the right time for you to buy. If you're thinking, hey, my next house, I want to be there at least 5 years. Here's what's going on with my job. Now, maybe it's the right time for you to buy. So first of all, let's just start with thinking. The second thing, and this is a big one, is you're gonna build a team, right? You need to build a team. So with a transaction to buy a house, there's a lot of different professions that are involved to actually make that happen. Now, technically, you don't have to have an agent to buy a house, but an agent is one that is really an integral part of building a team. If you choose to use an agent, the nice thing is they will be able to recommend to you some of the different professions that you'll need along the way, i.e. they're going to help you build the team, right? They'll be able to, so just in the buying process, let's just think about it. You might have an agent, like I said, you don't have to, but you will have an escrow agent or a title company. In some places that's an attorney. In my area, it's a title company that acts as the escrow agent. You're gonna, if you need a loan, if you're not paying cash for a house, you're gonna need to get a loan. Just in that, you might end up working with 3 different people. There's the loan originator, the person that gets it started. And then there's someone who typically processes the loan. And then there's someone who's making the final decision on the loan, the underwriter. So just in the lending part, there's 3 different team members. Another one, like I said, is a title company or an escrow agent. You might have a home inspector. Most agents hopefully would recommend that you get a home inspection done. You might need other vendors throughout the process. So building that team, that's a big one. It's going to be a lot easier for you if you have an integral team member like an agent to help you do it. The next thing in the prepare phase is to set a plan. Okay, what are we going to be doing? What's this process going to look like? And so truly within each of these different phases, there are going to be a lot of steps, but we're going to simplify that by breaking it into the phases, and really we can go into more detail on those phases in other videos, and I would encourage you to kind of look for those as the channel gets going. All right, so that's the first phase, prepare. What's the second phase? That's search. Now, I say it's the second phase, but let's be honest, most people are starting with search, right? I mean, with online access and apps, it's super easy to, casually go in and do some home search. And sure, it's fine if that's where you start. I have my own app, and there's some common big name apps. The main difference in, say, using my app and using another provider is that some of those bigger providers, their way they make money is selling your information, right? And so if you go on my app, you ask a question about a property, you're more than likely going to get me. If it's something I can't answer, I'm going to refer you to someone who's able to help you out. Anyway, so the reality is it really starts with a search, but within that search phase, we want you to kind of start to narrow, right? And so there's all these houses on the market, but only some of them are going to really fit your priorities, your wants, and your needs, right? And so that's why, as an agent, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do a buyer consultation as part of our preparation, so that when it comes to search, we're really able to narrow. So when you kind of get your narrowed down and you're looking at things online, well, now let's talk about in-person search. And like I said before, you can definitely do this without an agent. One thing I would have you keep in mind is typically whoever you're going to be talking to about a house has their client's best interest at heart, right? And so as a buyer, you definitely have the right to have your own representation, i.e. an agent or a realtor. However, you don't have to, but just at least keep that in mind. What I mean is, so can you contact the listing agent? Absolutely. You could contact the listing agent. They might even help you to see the property. However, they have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for the best interest of their seller. Same with new construction. There are some very helpful sales reps at the different communities here in my area in Rockwall. However, you got to keep in mind that that sales rep is representing the builder, right? And so they'll be helpful, they'll be friendly, I'm sure, but ultimately they do have their clients or their employer's best interest at heart. From looking at the in-person showings, so this, you should be able to get a private showing if you're going with an agent. An open house is another way to get into properties and see them in person. Just know same kind of goes there with the agent that's working there. If you're using me, you're able to go into the open house and at least notify that agent, hey, I'm already working with an agent. I'm already in a contract with someone who's going to represent me, but I'm just going to take a quick look because I saw your open house sign, right? But now, whatever the search does or whatever the in-person, you found the one. So when you found the one, we're going to move to the next phase. The next phase, or phase 3, is a contract, right? And now, if you haven't noticed, all these words of phases, they're action steps because it will take action, right? The first thing here under the contract phase is you need to make sure, so prepare your mind again, and let's make sure that you are ready to buy. So less about, are you ready to buy and should you be buying right now, but more about, are you ready to start spending some money? Because as we start to make offers and you get an offer accepted, you will start spending some money. You'll have different things like maybe earnest or good faith deposit to put down. You might have a fee with your option period or your due diligence period, depending on where you're at. You will you will also probably pay for an inspection, right? And so there's these things that you'll start to spend money on. So just make sure as you get into about to go the contract phase, are you ready for that? The next thing you'll do is you'll make an offer, and I recommend you make your offers in writing, right? If you're using an agent, they'll help you with all that paperwork. Now, when you make an offer, the other side has a couple of options. They can accept your offer outright. They can deny the offer outright with no other information, or they could negotiate. And so that's another step in the contract phase, is negotiating the offer. So if they come back with a different offer, or they let your agent or that the seller likes everything except this point, or this, maybe it's the amount of money you offered, or maybe it's the type of loan. Is there any way you could do another, right? And so they now countered your offer. So once everyone's in agreement, now we have a contract. We're under contract. And that leads to the next phase, and that's close. So during the close phase, the first thing is you're going to look for, what are my immediate deadlines, right? And so in my area, our good faith deposit, what we call earnest money, and our option fee, they're due within 3 days. And it might be a little bit different depending on what state you're in, but there's actually consequences if you don't get it in within those 3 days. At this point, one of the major things you'll see in our contract in Texas is, in bold, time is of the essence, meaning these aren't just deadlines just for our health, right? They are true deadlines, and there could be consequences within that. Don't want that to worry you, but it is, you've signed the contract now, you're saying you're going to do certain things, and it's important. The next thing you might do in this phase is your due diligence. And so this might be a time where you do inspections. You might hire an inspector to look at the property and see if there's some things that maybe you didn't notice, right? The other thing with due diligence is, you might double check the schools, right? You might verify, are these the schools that I thought this house was in? And I want to be, if that's an important issue to you, you might check different crime statistics. And you would do that all within that due diligence. In Texas, we call that an option period. Is the best time to do that. The other thing that you want to be mindful of is you might end up doing some waiting, right? So just to keep in mind, there might be a lot of waiting involved. It's kind of interesting when I'm working with clients because we've got all these things, in the beginning that were rush. And then all of a sudden we're kind of waiting, and they get a little uneasy if they're not expecting it. And they're like, should we be doing something? But the reality is you might be waiting for something within the loan process to happen. For instance, you've done everything you need to do up to that time, but you're waiting for an appraisal to come in from the appraiser. The main thing is you want to ask your agent if you're not sure, right? So it would be natural if you kind of got to that period and you were doing a lot of waiting, but if you're not sure, just ask your agent. Is there something else we should do? A good agent hopefully is going to be telling you, hey, here's our next step, or here's what you can kind of expect. But if not, just ask. The last thing I'll say is closing day, right? And so for closing day, what you want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you've got up-to-date identification. That's sometimes a problem if you've let an ID lapse. They are going to be checking your IDs and making sure that you are who you say you are, and because you're going to be signing some official documents. So you'll want to have your ID up to date. You want to bring your ID with you, right? You'll also hopefully have already had a chance to review some of your paperwork, which you're expected to bring to closing money-wise. And if everything goes smooth on closing day, you sign. You might get keys right then, or if it's going to take a little while for your loan to fund, you may actually end up getting them, a day or so later. But once you've got those keys, congratulations, you're a homeowner. All right, and so that's breaking the process down into 4 simple phases with the prepare, search, contract, and close. If you found this information helpful, I want you to be on the lookout for our next video all about down payments, and we'll put it somewhere around here. Talk to you soon.